everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Merle Massey, and I'll take to the softening so that, and if you're reading my lips, I talk fast. I apologize. I'm the coordinator for undergraduate research at the University of Saskatchewan, and we have a series of lunch and learns that we've designed for summer 2022. And this is for everyone who's here physically with us, and thank you for joining us, and those of you who are coming in online. And this series came from Research Excellence and Innovation, and it's a whole series around some of the interesting points when you are an entrepreneur. And if you're thinking about maybe in the future entering the business world or even building your own business and being an entrepreneur, some of the things that we'll be talking about today will certainly apply. And anything that we can learn about the business world when we're students and even when we're staff and faculty is always a great thing as well. So welcome today, and I'm going to pop out of the chair and welcome our host for the day, which is Alix Hayden, who is the Director of Research Excellence and Innovation. So thanks, Alix.
Thanks, Merle. So yeah, we're super pleased and happy to be participating in the summer undergraduate research experience programming with this entrepreneurship series. We've had virtual seminars also from members of our team. Hi, welcome. Take a comfy chair in the front, right there. Hello. From members of our Research Excellence and Innovation team on topics like intellectual property and building business and market research. And this series is, as Merle said, we're excited to talk to folks who are entrepreneurs who have developed companies based on work they did at USask. Also today we brought with us and are highlighting our new USask startup incubator called Opus. We've got some nice product placement that if you too agree to be a speaker for us, you may receive such nice gifts, and Samer will take home these lovely, yes, thank you. Very nice. So Opus is designed to be a pre-accelerator programming for faculty, staff, students, undergraduate, graduate students to learn about entrepreneurship, to sort of develop business acumen, to be able to test out an idea, an invention that they have that they think could be a commercial product or service. And you can come to this program and do that, test out where you could go with that idea. So we're running a pilot cohort right now. The applications are closed for that, but applications will reopen for next year, probably in the spring, next spring, late winter. Stay tuned. So today, I'm very happy. I have notes of all the exciting questions. I'm happy to welcome Samer to speak with us today. So do you want to give us a little intro? Tell us about you, your background.
Okay. So my name is Samer BuHamdan. I'm co-founder and CEO of Amb.ai. I finished my PhD at the University of Alberta. Worked in like a few things since I finished, and like I think starting Amb.ai, well, let's say my own business was something that I wanted, and then I think shortly after I started working with a French university, I decided this is what I wanted to do. So we started Amb.ai last August.
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically September. We got fortunate to be immediately accepted into co-launch, which is a program from the Co-Labs incubator. Then now we're part of Polling.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a very interesting and different, let's say, journey so far. Yeah, and I'm really excited to be here with you and to share.
Super. Okay, we're going to unpack a lot of that. So what brought you to the University of Saskatchewan? So you did your studies at University of Alberta. You did your PhD there.
Yeah.
What brought you to USask?
Well, I'm not fully affiliated with USask. Yeah.
I thought you did a postdoc or something here. No.
No. So it was an interesting, I applied for a position here. So
Okay, well, we don't have to unpack that. That's okay.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
So, what is your background, your area of research? Like,
okay.
are you?
Yeah. So
what are you? You're an engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like particularly in civil engineering.
Civil engineering.
Yeah, my PhD was in construction engineering and management, specifically in design evaluation, and that's where I became interested to include more components of automation into the design process.
Right.
So I got into generative design, which is more of like try to integrate artificial intelligence to generate certain components. And this was like the first actual, let's say, integration of AI into my work. During my postdoctoral fellowship, we tried to use AI to support urban design effort in addition to like regular design. Yeah, and that's where like I decided, like I will continue in the area of AI.
So can you give us a little primer for those that might not know? AI refers to artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So give us a little, how would you describe, pretend that I don't understand science.
Well, yeah.
How would you describe artificial intelligence? What is this technology?
So in general, artificial intelligence, without going into the details of the several waves of artificial intelligence, is an endeavor where we try to make computers do the tasks that we do. Think in similar way that we do. Of course, it went through several development process, but currently it is mainly statistical AI. So it depends on historical data to learn certain patterns and then use this knowledge in, let's say, in performing certain tasks.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. Yeah. I like that. I'm going to use it again. So you can teach the computer using kind of past data, something that's like training data, right? You teach the computer to analyze things, and the advantage is that it does it faster and hopefully more accurately, and like not requiring as many humans and
to do it. So in a way, like I think it is pretty. So we are trying to find ways to make computers learn the same way as we do. We're still not there yet because like we don't really fully understand how we learn. So this is the point, like, and this is one of the all like continuous philosophical questions that like whenever I discuss with my co-founder, it is like it's always this one, like how we can teach it to do this. Like I don't know, because like I don't know how I learned about that. So it's just like this intuition is, I think, what is really missing from like AI in general. And I know like now people are talking about Google, someone claiming that AI has really reached some, like they have some sentiments. Yeah, like I mean, I really don't know how, like, you can quantify sentiments
like emotions in a computer.
So this is the point. Maybe one day we can do that, but like I mean, at this point, it's pattern recognition. It's the same way that
Sorry, I took us on an AI tangent, but we need to understand a little bit about artificial intelligence, because my next formal question, I got my team made a nice list of questions that we could talk about that we provided to Samer, and I haven't even started on those. Sure. We're not going to ask all of them, but also I don't want to just totally surprise you. So, artificial intelligence, good to have a little bit of background there, because tell us about, so your company is called Amb.ai. Yeah. Do I say it right?
Yeah.
Amb.ai. Yeah. So tell us what your company, give us your, not your investor pitch, but your sort of, give us your pitch of what the company does.
So Amb.ai, actually, Amb is short for Ambassionné, which is look ahead in French. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we made it like a little bit shorter. So actually the full name is Ambassionné AI or if you want to read it in English, it's Ambitioner AI Solutions. So our ultimate goal to be AI-based solution provider for construction/infrastructure industry. Our first product, for now, we're calling it Sewer Inspector. We're debating changing the name, but so it leverages computer vision to analyze CCTV inspection, sewer inspection videos to identify defects in them. So instead of a person looking into endless tunnels to find defects, it is the computer plowing through videos, identifying defects, and generating reports. So I think we're getting to have, like, you know, a slogan that sewer inspector is the light at the end of the tunnel, but we are not really, you know, we haven't really decided on that, but so yeah.
That's awesome. So sometimes when we talk about like startup founders doing pitches or describing their company and being able to, you might have heard of the concept of an elevator pitch. So this is the idea that you should be able to tell somebody your idea or tell somebody your company in the time it takes to ride an elevator ride. So I hope maybe it's like a lot of floors, because it really shouldn't, or you should get at least some time. But part of what we talk about when we do that is, you know, we sort of, like Samer just did, tell you what the problem is that you're trying to solve. There's humans that have to watch hours and hours of video to see a defect in a sewer, what your solution is. But we also talk about sometimes starting out with a story or something that captures, because people will remember that. Something that is, and Samer has one of the best ones when he does like an onstage pitch. You start with,
well, yeah, like so it is actually an actual story. So last July, July 20, it would be 2021. The city of Kitchener had really bad sewer leakage. So one of the and when you see the articles, they interviewed several people, and actually one of them described it as there was a geyser of poop coming out.
a geyser of poop.
Yeah, like, so
nobody wants that.
Exactly. So yeah, that's and that was one of the, I think, going back to the elevator pitch idea, it was a revelation moment for me when I discovered that article, because it made my life way easier. Because, you know, like when people, it's a big
that sounds
problem,
bad.
you know,
That's a big problem.
I will listen to you. Yeah. So it's always important to find this, you know, like the punchline, what they call it. So
yes, the thing that people always say that, you know, you might not remember the, you know, Samer showed us slides of financial projections or, you know, graphs and figures about the frequency. I just crashed. I talk with my hands. I just crashed Merle's microphone. Test. The frequency of geysers or whatever, but we will remember the story. Yeah. We may not remember the, you know, the pie chart. So for you, can you talk a little bit about sort of the transition from being a researcher to being an entrepreneur?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
Yeah, well, let's put it wasn't easy. Yeah, it's more of retraining yourself on a new set of skills. It's not, you know, like, it doesn't mean that there are certain skills that you can transfer to being an entrepreneur, but the point is your way of thinking is completely different. Like a good,
how so?
Like an example, when you're doing research, your, let's say, metrics of assessing the merit of a certain solution is completely different from the let's say, industry. So it is acceptable to go to the market with a product that is 75% complete, but it is not acceptable in the academia to tell that, you know, I think that it might work. No, you need to prove that. Like, you need to show mathematically that whatever you produced is sound. This doesn't work in the market, because you will never get a 100% solution, and because of that, you may not really be able to go to the market with your solution. So that is one of the ideas.
Did you find that difficult to?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like the problem, like I think one of the feedback that I was given that I always speak like a scientist.
It's
so yeah, like it is difficult because this is something that I've been trained on like for, let's say, a major chunk of my life. Like and then you're telling me that no, I have to speak in a different language. So it is really language. I mean business language.
Yeah.
That took some time. So yeah, there are like I mean it's mainly the understanding what is the new environment requires and retrain yourself on the requirements of the new environment. Yeah.
So you mentioned a co-founder.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about, so sometimes we see, or we often see people who are academic, not just academics, founders in general, who are the sort of technical expert or the domain expert in an idea, sometimes have to realize that they can't be the CEO and the operations person and the human resources person. And we hear lots of times investors will say, they really look for the team and what the team brings, because they know that it's very rare, if not never ever happens, that a single founder, that there's a solo founder that builds a big company and is successful, right? Eventually you have to build a team. And sometimes at the beginning of the venture, it's hard for founders to know where their weaknesses may be and to understand what they need to complement, or even how to find a co-founder. So you mentioned a co-founder. Can you talk about sort of, did you have a co-founder all along, or did you tell?
Yeah. So it's more of it's a joint venture, and my co-founder is my supervisor during my PhD. So I definitely would emphasize on the point that a business is not really a, let's say, one person thing. Like you may be able to start, but shortly after that, you definitely need to bring people. Like how do you bring them? Like whether co-founders or employees, it's a different story. But a business cannot really be built on one person. In our case, it was more of at the beginning, it's more of partnership. And although we're both technical, we have both technical backgrounds. It was one person has to do the business aspect, and I think it was me. So
why was it you? Did you want to, or you guys flipped a coin, or you knew you?
Well, I mean, I think it was more of between an engineer and a mathematician. It is easier for an engineer to learn about business than person.
You're trying to choose your words.
Yeah, rather than a purely scientist person, the science person to learn the business.
Sure.
So it was more I think it is the best arrangement at the time.
Great.
And I think looking back now, I think, we wouldn't have done it differently.
Yeah. Well, we also talk sometimes in a university setting about the idea that often ideas or inventions or technology are developed together with graduate students or students and a supervisor.
Yeah.
And often the supervisor, let's be honest, they have a great job. They have a great job. Yeah. They're often, sometimes they want to go and be the CEO of a company, but you can't usually be a CEO of a company off the side of your desk while you also do research and teaching and all of that stuff. And so it's sort of ideal often that a grad student or a postdoc can be the person that can kind of take that. So did you imagine yourself, what made you say, no, I want to be the employer, not the employee? I don't want to go and work in industry. I want to do my own thing. Or did you think that? Because that's what you're doing.
Yeah, no, exactly. It is just so let's put it this way. I don't know why, but this is something that I always wanted to have my own business. But why is that? I cannot really like, yeah, I'm not really sure why is that. And it started very long time ago. The point is, what really like, let's say was different was, should I go directly to start my business, or let's say explore other ways before doing it? So that's where I tried to find like some jobs in academia, because someone told me that actually it would be easier if you find a job and then build connections that you will utilize later in your job. In my case, it didn't work this way, because I tried, I wasn't successful, and then it was a moment where, you know what, I'm not gonna try anymore. If this is the end goal, let's hit it now. And I think, yeah, it was a good decision that I made.
Did you do entrepreneurial things? Did you do little businesses and things when you were like a kid? A lot of entrepreneurs have this way, like.
No, not really. It's, yeah, like it is. I think growing up, the idea of like, you know, businessman in the movies was something appealing to me.
Yes.
But you know, like I don't know, like it's but maybe that contributed to that. But no, I did not like, or I cannot remember doing that. Yeah.
So you mentioned when you were in your introduction, you mentioned that so you had the idea, you started the business with your co-founder, and you entered into Collabs, which is an incubator in Saskatoon here in Saskatchewan. So it's a technology incubator. And tell us a little bit about what do you think when you were at that stage? What did sort of having access to an incubator and the programming and the you know, networks that like, how did that influence your path?
So definitely going through an incubator program, whatever this incubator is, accelerates the understanding and the acquiring of, like, let's say, necessary skills for running the business on the long term. So I think if it wasn't for the incubator program, there are so many things like, and again, I need to put that into a context of like, it was a 12-week program. So of course you cannot cover everything that you do in a business school, let's say, but at least I was provided with the ideas that I need to learn about in order to manage my business. So definitely, like, of course, I would have gotten to that conclusion, like those things, without the incubator, but I think, let's say, I would have taken way longer, and in a way I would have lost time and resources more than, you know, like going through an incubator. Yeah.
So where is your company at right now in terms of, I know you just had a milestone, but in terms of like, have you hired employees?
Oh yeah, we have now. Really, like last May we had our first marketing employee.
Was that your first hire, marketing?
First hire.
Why?
Well, actually it's based on several advices that I got, and this is going back to understanding, like, I think one of the most important skills a founder should have is acknowledging and understanding what their shortcomings are. So we're both technical people. We don't have any marketing skills or background. Of course, like at least myself, I'm acquiring this, but still I'm not good at that. So since we have the technical part covered, then I think the other important part to the business is marketing. That's why we went in that direction. And actually, speaking of that specifically, it was during like Srida Go Money.
Oh yeah.
The first interviews. So there was a panel of like 3 experts, and I was presenting, like pitching my idea. And I remember Aaron from Siemens, I think, was telling me, like, you have, because I was thinking that we need to hire a developer to accelerate certain parts. And then he said, no, actually, you need to hire sales and marketing people, like to start with, not technical people at this point, given, the type of your product and the stage that you're at. So yeah, we followed the advice and we hired marketing.
So marketing was your first hire, and
then I think we will supplement our team with more like developers,
programmers, computer science. Anyone here from computer science? Half. Okay. Samer's going to be looking for somebody who, so here's another great tip, undergraduate students, lots of tech companies. I mean, tech is booming in Saskatchewan. I think you can correct me, tell me what you think, but I think a lot of companies now, they need people with these multifaceted skill sets. So not just a developer, but a developer who also understands, has cross training, or who understands a little bit of the business side. That's you, I think. Or user interface, design, like art, something creative, psychology, these kind of things that you can bring.
Yeah, actually, absolutely. I totally agree with that, because startups are usually short on cash. This is the most important. So like the idea of if we can get something for free, we like it. So, that's why we always looking for grants and like government support. But the point is, of course, the dynamic nature of startup requires people to have multiple skills, because we might hire someone we think that, this person has to do this task only, but then something happens and we don't need really to hire someone with because it's like let's say, we don't have work for a full-time person, but we need this task to be done. And that's where, let's say, a person with multiple skill comes really handy. So
yeah.
So I totally agree with you. Definitely, this knowledge, the interdisciplinary knowledge is important.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got right now, I want to come back to, you touched on, let's talk about it now. You touched a little bit on startups have no money. Startups have no money. So how does one finance a startup? What does that look like?
Well,
from personal experience, or I don't want to put pressure on you, because if it depresses you, that
no. Well, I think we are really in a fortunate position where, as founders, we have some money to spend. So I think this is I know lots of founders may not be in that situation. Additionally, we also participated in GoMoney, and here, I really like to give a big shout out to Srida. Square One people, because also it was them who told me about collabs, because that's where I started, wanted to understand, okay, I have a business idea, where to start. So I went to them and then they provided me with the information. So we won that and we have money, and then we won in co-launch. So we have a little bit of cushion to support our operations. Usually people the starting point is, and I know now I will sound cliche, but actually this is what happens. Start to find people around you, if you don't have money, who family, friends to give you money. That would be good, because usually this money comes with no string attached. So that is very good at the beginning. Grants, it's always you have IRAP, you have many youth hiring programs that will help you. Ideally, if you can survive without giving equity in your company, that would be ideal. And actually, I have to I remember one of the sessions at Collabs, there was Jeff Shirley from River City Innovation, and he gave us a concise and very good advice. Remember that you only have 100% of your company. So you cannot have more than that. And once, the more you give up, of shares, the less control you have over the company. But sometimes you have to do it. So once you tap into your friends and family and no one else, then the next step is try to find angel investors. Of course, angel investors will take something in return for giving you money. And
so
then,
they want to own a piece of your company.
Yeah.
So when Samer says you have 100% of your company, right, whatever the company's value is, whatever it's
Yeah.
worth, an angel investor wants to have a little bit of ownership of percentage of your company, so that when your company makes a whole bunch of money or gets sold or goes public or something, they get money back, right? And angel investors are invested in very early stage of company, so they know that they're taking a risk, but that's
exactly, that's the, like you take risk and then hoping that you will get something in return. So that is like, I don't want to use the investment jargon, but then you like after angel investment is kind of raising money, but not really raising money. But then you go through several rounds of raising money, depending on how much you generate. Actually, my advice is try not to tap into, like, let's say, investors' money until you make revenue.
Yes, so I love this. So what's the other source of money for a startup?
Is revenue.
Sell something.
Yeah.
Sales. I have a favorite quote from and I always attribute it from Alicia Esmail.
Yeah.
So she's a founder of Road Coffee and a number of other ventures, and she says if you don't have sales, you don't have a company, you have a hobby.
Pretty much, yeah. And that actually, one of the points is like sometimes like it really depends on what you are like. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, I don't want to divert the discussion, but sales sometimes they like it sounds easy to make sales, but once you start doing them, it's not really as easy.
And so what's your recent milestone that you just told me?
We managed to we had an agreement for our first paid client. So
a round of applause. Yeah. Because as you said at the beginning, the thing with artificial intelligence is that you need this training data, right? So to inspect sewers, you need a bunch of video or something of sewer inspection. And so you've been doing that. You've been collaborating to get that for free, but no one's paying you.
Yeah. Like, and in a way, like in the AI business, like personally speaking, I understand the importance of sales. Yes, I totally agree that, if you don't have revenue, like then you're doing a hobby. But in a way, in artificial intelligence, the commodity is data. Yeah. So if you manage to get data, definitely, this is not an easy feat, especially with all the talk about privacy and people and organizations like acknowledging the importance of their data. So yeah, maybe like 10 years ago, it was easy to get data, but now it is not really as easy as it was. So like lots of AI companies will tell you that, well, I don't know, like at least in our situation, if you pay us in data, we're good. But like if you give us data and pay us money, it's even better.
Quote of the, write that down. Yeah. Is there something, what's the thing that you most love about being an entrepreneur? I hope there's something.
Yeah, so you always face new challenges.
Always face new challenges.
And you always need to be learning new things.
What do you like least about being an entrepreneur?
That things usually move slower than I want them to move. Yeah.
Slower. Yeah. Things usually move slower than you become impatient.
Yeah.
What's a definition of success for you?
Meeting my own, let's say, targets.
Your own targets.
Yeah. Like I was at chat, like yesterday, I was chatting with someone in the tech industry, and then they're asking about the business, and then I said that like we we manage. So we sell, like our business, we sell to government institutions. So sales cycles are way longer than, like when you sell other products usually. And they said that, oh, like, and when I mentioned that we finally had our first client, they were like, oh, when did you start it? So I said last September technically, and then they said, oh, in less than a year you managed to secure a client like this. It's a big thing. I was like, oh, thank you, but I wasn't really, I didn't.
You thought it was too long.
Yeah, and so that's why, like, actually when I was reading the question, it was, oh, like, that's actually true. It's more about what meeting my expectations, because whether they are like reasonable or not, but I feel this is my definition of my success.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Do you have tips or tricks or things that you focus on as an entrepreneur in terms of managing stress or mental health? This is something that we talk about sometimes now in entrepreneurship programming, that I think wasn't talked about maybe in the past as much, that it's a stressful job.
It is actually, like nobody can deny that. And like, speaking about research students, I like to also emphasize that doing research is also very stressful. Like, especially there was a study that actually 1/3 of PhD students have mental challenges. So it is like, as a researcher also, like, you face challenges. So I think my way, at least, of coping with that is running.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone. Like, each one has to have their own coping mechanism. Usually when I'm really stressed about delivering so many things, I like to stop doing whatever I'm doing, put a list of things that I have to do, attached to a timeline to prioritize, and then attack them as their priorities.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me less stressed about them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I mean, this is what I do. Definitely, this might work for some, might not work for others. It is always try to find, like, my advice is try to find your own way of doing things. Like, listen to everyone's advice, but then try to find your own way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
is there something that you know now that you really wish that you knew, like, it would have been way better if I had just known that thing?
Yeah, going back to what I said, the difference between academia and business, I wish that I knew that you don't need a perfectly working model, a solution to go to the market. So going back to the industry jargon, like the tech jargon, the MVP, which is minimum viable model.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't wait until you have a fully functioning, perfectly working, because you're not gonna get that even in, like, after 20 years of work.
Yeah.
There will be always bugs. There will be always things to improve. But if you have an idea and you think you have, let's say, 70 to 85% working model, just go for it.
Because also, is that how you
Exactly.
learn to make it better?
Yeah.
And because, when you're a founder, you have an idea, you're only one person, and you think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But if you don't go out and talk to all you people and hear, would you pay for this? Right? You could spend a year developing something perfect, and it doesn't meet the need of the market, right?
And after all, like, I'm not saying that the market is the judge, because there are techniques to change people's opinion about your product. But without the feedback from your customer, your product, like, I wouldn't say worth nothing, but it is not really as valuable as you think. So that's why build something that is reasonable, go with the market, like, try. Don't think about generating, like, earning money in the, let's say, first few years. Like, and this is like almost every single founder. Like, of course, if you want really to give up everything, like, your company and all the shares in your company, you can do that, like continue finding angel investors. So just go give it to the people to try it for free, get their feedback, because feedback is more valuable than the money.
Right. That's a commodity.
Yeah.
Like getting that response. Yeah. Yeah.
So with that feedback, you make your product better, and then you can then it will generate more money for you than, you know, like I'm gonna sell it to you and then a customer, oh, I didn't like it, I'm not gonna pay for it forever again.
Yeah.
So this is the point. It's like, I think the thing that I wish I knew before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Does anybody in person or online have questions for Samer? Somebody has questions. Come on.
Well, I was gonna say, I think I actually remember watching your collab pitch when you did before. I wanted to ask just what the process was like going through collabs and, like, I guess some of the value of doing that program.
Okay.
So maybe I'm not sure if our audio or little microphone will pick up. So I'll just repeat the question. So with reference to going through collabs, what was the process like, and what was the key value of going through that program?
So I think for they're keep improving, like, let's say they keep changing the processes to improve it. So for the process now, I would recommend that you contact them directly, like Dallas, and they will tell you what is it. So they have 4 programs. We started at the second level, which is the full launch. When you have, let's say, an idea / like more of a product, but again, like it's becoming more competitive with every year, so they keep changing the criteria. So I would recommend reaching out to them specifically. As for the value, I learned a lot. Like, there are so many things that I didn't know before starting the program. I know that, like, the only thing I knew that there are lots to learn, but where to start and what to learn, it was like collabs helped me a lot. Co-launch helped me a lot with that. I think one of the best advices, like in terms of value, don't fall in love with your idea. This is an important thing, because as a startup, you need to always be ready to change something into it. So I feel, yeah, like it will accelerate your understanding of the business aspects of things, especially if you don't have the business background.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a technical founder, it is very helpful to get yourself familiar with all, let's say, the industry jargon, how to finance, how to do market research, the things that you have to focus on in your product. So yeah, like, I think these are the values that I learned.
So quick question. Now, you mentioned you have a founder, like, from the get-go, right? How do you get into that comfortable discussion as to about who owns what? Who owns what fraction of that idea or that entity?
Yeah. Oh, the audio picks up, so go ahead. Okay. I won't take up the time to rephrase an excellent question.
I mean, it is definitely something that you negotiate with the people. How to assess? There are people, like, there are some online tools that claim to be telling you how to divide the shares. And then there are people who would, like, for example, if you have the original idea, then you get more than, let's say, your CTO, but there is no magic formula. It really depends on the negotiation and the amount of time each one is willing to put. Like, so for example, if you're paying someone's salary in addition to shares, of course, they're not going to get 50% of the company. So the point is, again, going back, so there is 100% of shares. So if you're not getting compensated, and then someone else is getting monetary compensation, then of course their share in the company would be less than yours. But what is the magic formula? I mean, it's based on negotiation and like, so many other things. So I don't know, like, again, some people will tell you that if you're paying your CTO, the Chief Technology Officer, which is usually fancy way to say the one who will develop, especially at the beginning, the one who will develop the technique, like let's say the software or the web or something like that. Later on, they will have other roles, but at the beginning, it's you have an idea and you need a developer to do it. So this person will be called CTO usually. So if you're paying them, you like some people would say you give them 10%, some people will tell them like 25%. But again, is there a number? You know, like it's up to you and your co-founders.
I'm just dig a little bit deeper into that, and this is particularly a situation where you are a PhD student and your prof, your prof had a faculty position, right? Now, I am a faculty, yeah, I'm a professor here, and I'm just thinking, how do I really go about this decision to maybe either give up that role to say a grad student or a postdoc to run the company? Then they are putting in a lot of their time. But you know what? I have a lot of the technical know-how. I know what that product can look like and so on and so forth, right? But I don't have that time to put into that, to develop that technology.
Mhm.
So the question is, how does that negotiation really?
I mean, you know,
because
definitely it's difficult, and I'm not saying that like that if you like, it really depends on what each one is bringing. Like, so will they be just the business people or more than that? Like, are you hiring, like, let's say, giving them this to, and you will be doing everything, or they will be doing everything related to business and you will be taking care of technology. So that is the aspect. So, I mean, again, like it's 100%. It depends on like, and by the way, there are so many challenges to this relationship between a supervisor and their students, because now they are not your students, they are your partners. And that is a huge learning curve. Like I would, you know, like my co-founder is like, we wouldn't be actually working together if he wasn't really amazing, but but he is really like he completely adapted to the reality that I'm not his student.
Mhm.
And this is a huge thing for supervisors to acknowledge, because if you are not taking care of the business side, someone has to make decisions. And those decisions, like sometimes you have to make a decision without consulting your partner, because time is of essence. And if you're not willing to give them that freedom, I would not recommend that you go in partnership with them. This is the point. Again, going back to how to divide a company, again, you have anywhere from, depending on their involvement, anywhere from 10% to 50%. Or even you may give them, let's say, 60%. It's really like what you're willing to put and what they are, you know, like willing to accept.
I think sometimes we have conversations too at the university with folks that we don't always, we are so invested. I say like I'm a fancy researcher. Researchers are so invested in and passionate about the research that they do and the solution that they're building and the technology that they have, that it's sometimes hard to envision the road and how long the road is to a company that is selling something. And we have other examples. Last week, we told a story about Ixir, you know, going from a bench scale or a proof of concept or like a prototype in a lab down the road to, you know, all the people that are going to be involved down that road to an actual scaled up business. It's hard to envision all of that and really how much work is involved in that, and how say those, you are taking that then and making those decisions, and the years of investment that's going to go in there. And what is the relative contribution of founders and co-founders to that? It's not an easy thing.
Like, I mean, actually, and I want to emphasize, like, the business aspect is not easy. Like, going back to the training myself on a new skill of like sets of skills. One of them is being okay with people telling, I don't like your product. I don't think that,
you're wrong.
You're wrong. Like in the academia, well, if you have your calculations to support, let's say, the validity of a solution, then yeah, if they tell you you're wrong, you go to another publisher and that's it. But in business, like I wouldn't say customer always right, but you need their money. So in a way, you have to say, yeah, like, so we were in a meeting, and after the meeting, it wasn't really like, I wouldn't say it was a bad meeting. They would say, we like the idea, but we don't have money in our budget to let's say, to engage with you. And then my co-founder was like, we're bad sellers. I was like, no, you know how many times I get rejection in one day? So it was like, no.
Nasty secret.
Exactly. This is not now. And this is like actually the second most perfect answer after, we're going to go with you. Because not now means there is a chance. But again, because he is not dealing with the business on like business aspect on daily basis, he felt like it's a big thing.
Yeah.
So that's where like the other, like going back to the transition, is appreciating that, rejection is part of the process. Not everyone will like your product. Not everyone is your customer, and it's about finding the people who are more likely to buy your product. And you cannot really, no matter how much research you do, without testing it on the ground, you're not going to know that.
Yeah. And it's a very good point, and thank you for raising it, and audience member, faculty member, because this is the thing, and I'm not just plugging it, but this is actually the thing that we saw, that there's a gap sort of in the ecosystem in general, that an incubator inside the university like Opus is seeking to fill, is that when there may have been things that you wished you knew before you hit the incubator as an academic, or having an academic background, and that, are there answers that we can help, or questions we can help answer inside the university, because it's a unique relationship, supervisor and student, and now you have to be partners. That's a very good point. I never thought of it in that way, and that's unique to a university setting. And so, that's where we think a university incubator can help answer those questions and help people sort of get some of that behind them, so that they can come out maybe to an accelerator or incubator externally and have that sorted out, and not be facing those kind of questions that other companies aren't facing, that because they're not built with a supervisor and a student, right? So it's time to, Merle says,
okay.
Merle says that. She said it like this, like as if I'm off camera, and so it's like a secret sign. But now I'm. Samer, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks everybody who came in person. If you also wish to be part of this wonderful audience, please come. Merle's program will send out future dates, but
Friday, July 22nd is the next one.
Friday, July 22nd.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks everybody who came out in person and everybody who tuned in online.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Good job.